Captain Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the research ship Endeavour, watching the stars through the main window. The ship had been traveling through space for 3 months, looking for new planets that could support human life. Jake was a big man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in many wars before becoming a space captain. "Captain, we're getting something strange on our sensors," said Ryan Clark from his station. Ryan was young, maybe 25, with red hair and quick fingers that danced over his computer controls. He handled all communications for the ship. Dr. Lisa Kim looked up from her science station. She was a small woman with black hair who studied alien life forms. So far, they had never found any intelligent aliens, but Lisa never stopped hoping. "What kind of signal is it?" she asked. Ryan's face went pale. "It's big, Captain. Really big. And it's moving toward us fast." Commander Alex Stone walked over to look at the display screen. Alex was the head of security, a tough woman with short brown hair and muscles that showed she spent a lot of time working out. "How big are we talking about?" 10 times bigger than our ship," Ryan said, his voice shaking a little. "Maybe more." Jake felt his heart beat faster. In all his years in space, he had never seen anything like this. "Can you tell what it is?" "It's not natural, Captain. Someone built it. And whoever built it has technology we've never seen before." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. After hundreds of years of searching, humans had finally found proof that they were not alone in the universe. But instead of feeling happy, Jake felt worried. Something this big could easily destroy their small research ship. "Distance?" Jake asked. 2 million kilometers and closing fast," Ryan reported. "At current speed, they'll reach us in 20 minutes. Dr. Kim was already working at her station trying to scan the approaching ship. "I'm not getting much information. Their hull is made of materials I don't recognize. But Jake, this thing is armed. I can see weapon systems all over it." Alex moved to her station and started checking their own weapons. The Endeavour was a research ship, not a warship. They had some basic shields and a few small guns, but nothing that could fight something 10 times their size. "Should we run?" Ryan asked. Jake thought about it. Their engines were good, but probably not good enough to outrun this alien ship, and running might make them look hostile. "No, we try to talk first." "Ryan, can you send them a message?" Ryan worked at his controls for several minutes. "I'm trying different frequencies, Captain. Mathematics, pictures, music, the basic first. Contact protocols." They waited. The alien ship kept getting closer. Through the window, they could now see a small dot that was growing larger every minute. "Captain," Ryan said suddenly. "They're responding." The main screen lit up with an image that made everyone gasp. The alien looked somewhat like a human, but taller and thinner. Its skin was gray and covered with small scales. It had 4 arms instead of 2, and its eyes were completely black with no white parts. When it spoke, the computer translated its words into English. "Primitive vessel, you will stop your engines and prepare to be boarded. I am War Commander Thexval of the Zephyrian Empire. Your species is unknown to us, but that matters little. You will surrender your ship and submit to questioning." Jake stepped forward. "This is Captain Jake Martinez of the Earthship Endeavour. We come in peace. We're explorers, not soldiers. We mean you no harm." The alien commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peace is for the weak. Your ship will be added to our fleet. Your crew will serve the Empire or die. These are your only choices." Dr. Kim leaned toward Jake and whispered, "Captain, I'm reading 17 other ships behind this one. They're all smaller, but still bigger than us." Jake felt sweat on his forehead. 18 alien warships against 1 research vessel. The smart thing would be to surrender and hope these aliens kept them alive. But Jake had not spent 20 years fighting for human freedom just to give up now. "War Commander Thexval," Jake said, keeping his voice steady, "we appreciate your offer, but we must decline. Humans value their freedom. We choose our own path." The alien commander's black eyes seemed to grow larger. "You refuse? You dare refuse the Zephyrian Empire? No species has ever been so foolish. There's a first time for everything. Jake replied. Alex moved closer to Jake. Captain, what are your orders? Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. Ryan was scared but stayed at his post. Dr. Kim was already working on something at her science station. Alex waited for orders like the good soldier she was. These people trusted him to keep them alive. We fight, Jake said quietly. War Commander Thexval heard this through the open communication channel. Fight? With what? Your tiny ship against the might of the Empire? You are either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both, Jake said. But we're still not surrendering. The alien commander cut the communication. On the screen they could see the massive warship getting closer. Smaller ships were spreading out around it, surrounding the Endeavor. Ryan, send a message back to Earth. Tell them what we found out here. Make sure they know these aliens are hostile. Already done, Captain. Message sent. Alex, what do we have for weapons? 2 plasma cannons, some missiles, and a lot of spare parts that could make good bombs if we get creative. Dr. Kim looked up from her station. Jake, I've been studying their ship design. I think I know where their weak spots might be. Jake smiled for the first time since this started. Good. Because they're about to learn something about humans that they're not expecting. What's that, Captain? Ryan asked. That we're a lot harder to kill than we look. The alien ships moved into attack position. The Endeavor was completely surrounded, with nowhere to run. War Commander Thexval expected this to be easy. His species had conquered 17 different star systems. No one had ever successfully resisted the Zephyrian Empire. But Thexval had never fought humans before. He was about to learn that humans had been fighting wars since before they discovered fire. They had survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that nearly destroyed their entire planet. They had learned that sometimes the only way to win was to refuse to lose. The battle for humanity's place in the galaxy was about to begin. The first alien energy blast hit the Endeavor's shields like a hammer. The entire ship shook and the lights flickered. Captain Jake Martinez grabbed onto his chair to keep from falling. Shields down to 60%, Alex Stone reported from her security station. These weapons are more powerful than anything we've seen before. Return fire, Jake ordered. The Endeavor's 2 plasma cannons fired back at the massive alien warship. The beams struck the enemy's hull but barely left a mark. The alien ship was simply too big and too well protected. Our weapons aren't doing much damage, Captain, Alex said. War Commander Thexval's voice came through the communication system again. You see how pointless your resistance is. Surrender now and some of your crew may live. Not happening, Jake replied. Another energy blast hit them, stronger this time. The ship shook so hard that Ryan Clark fell out of his chair. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. Shields down to 30%, Alex reported. Dr. Lisa Kim was still working at her science station, studying the alien ships. Jake, I think I found something. Their main ship has weak spots near the engine sections, and the smaller ships have thin armor on their undersides. Good work, Lisa. Alex, target those weak spots. But before Alex could fire again, something unexpected happened. The alien warship stopped shooting. Instead, bright lights appeared all around it. Captain, Ryan said, his voice shaking. They're transporting something onto our ship, multiple signals. I count 50 of them. Jake felt his blood go cold. The aliens were boarding the Endeavor. This was much worse than a ship-to-ship battle. Now they would have to fight the aliens, face to face. All crew, this is the captain, Jake announced over the ship's communication system. We are being boarded. This is not a drill. Arm yourselves and prepare to repel boarders. Sub-Commander Crixtall materialized in the Endeavor's main corridor along with 49 other Zephyrian warriors. Each alien soldier was 7 feet tall and carried an energy rifle that could burn through steel. They wore black armor that covered their gray, scaly skin. Crixtall had done this many times before. Board an enemy ship, kill anyone who resisted, capture the rest. It was always the same. The other species in the galaxy were weak. They surrendered quickly once they saw Zephyrian warriors up close. Spread out, Crixtall ordered his soldiers. Capture the bridge first, then secure the engine room. Kill anyone who fights back. The aliens began moving through the ship's corridors. They expected to find scared civilians hiding in their rooms. Instead, they found something very different. Sergeant. Nina Garcia was waiting for them around the first corner. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, but she had been a soldier for 15 years. When the first alien warrior came around the corner, Nina shot him 3 times with her kinetic rifle. The bullets punched through the alien's armor like it was made of paper. The alien fell down, blue blood spreading across the floor. The other warriors stared in shock. Their armor was supposed to protect them from energy weapons. They had never fought an enemy that used old-fashioned bullets. Contact, Nina shouted into her radio. Aliens in Corridor 7. Their armor doesn't stop kinetic rounds. More gunfire erupted throughout the ship. The human crew was fighting back, and they were winning individual battles. But there were 50 aliens and only 12 humans with combat training. Corporal Ben Wright had been working in the engine room when the aliens beamed aboard. Ben was an expert with explosives, and he had just finished setting up a nasty surprise. When 5 alien warriors entered the engine room, Ben triggered his trap. The explosion knocked all 5 aliens to the ground. Their energy rifles went flying. Ben grabbed a wrench and attacked the nearest alien. The creature was bigger and stronger than him, but Ben had grown up in a rough neighborhood. He knew how to fight dirty. Meanwhile, Dr. Lisa Kim was doing something that amazed everyone. She was studying the aliens even while fighting them. When an alien warrior cornered her in the medical bay, Lisa noticed that its neck looked vulnerable. She grabbed a medical laser and aimed it at exactly the right spot. The alien went down instantly. Lisa quickly examined its body, looking for more weak points. Within minutes, she was on the radio telling other crew members exactly where to aim their weapons for maximum effect. Ryan Clark was not a soldier, but he was very good with computers. While aliens tried to break down the door to the communication center, Ryan was busy hacking into their equipment. He discovered that the aliens used a simple radio frequency to coordinate their attacks. Ryan started broadcasting human music on that frequency. Heavy metal, rock and roll, and war songs from Earth's military. The alien warriors had never heard anything like it. The loud, aggressive music confused them and made it hard for them to communicate with each other. But the most shocking thing for Subcommander Krikstal was how the humans acted when they were wounded. In every other species he had fought, injured soldiers would surrender or retreat. Humans did neither. When Sergeant Garcia got shot in the shoulder, she switched her rifle to her other hand and kept fighting. When Ben Wright got knocked down by an energy blast, he got back up and attacked with even more fury than before. The humans seemed to get more dangerous when they were hurt, not less. Krikstal found himself in a running battle with Captain Martinez near the bridge. The human captain was older and slower than Krikstal, but he refused to give up. Every time Krikstal thought he had won, Martinez would find a new weapon or a new way to attack. "Why do you not surrender?" Krikstal demanded as they fought. "You cannot win. We are stronger and better armed." Jake Martinez, bleeding from cuts on his face, smiled grimly. "Because this is our ship. These are our people. And we don't abandon either." The alien commander had never heard anything like this before. In his culture, warriors fought for glory and conquest. But these humans seemed to be fighting for each other. The battle raged for 2 hours. The aliens had superior weapons and armor, but the humans had something the aliens didn't understand. They had desperation, creativity, and absolute refusal to quit. Dr. Kim discovered that the aliens were vulnerable to certain frequencies of sound. Ryan Clark used the ship's speakers to broadcast painful noises that made the aliens dizzy and confused. Corporal Wright turned the ship's maintenance robots into weapons, programming them to attack the aliens from behind. Sergeant Garcia organized the civilian crew members into an effective fighting force, teaching them to use improvised weapons. By the end of the fight, 23 alien warriors were dead or wounded. The remaining aliens had barricaded themselves in the cargo bay, waiting for rescue from their ship. Sub-Commander Krikstal contacted War Commander Thexfall with a report that shocked the alien fleet commander. "Sir, we have encountered unexpected resistance. The humans fight like no species we have ever seen. They do not retreat when wounded. They do not surrender when outnumbered. And they use weapons and tactics we have never encountered." "Impossible," Thexval replied. "You have 50 warriors against a research crew." Had 50 warriors, sir. We now have 27 effective fighters, and the humans are still attacking us. They have turned their entire ship into a weapon against us. For the first time in his military career, War Commander Thexavel felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. These humans were not like the other species his empire had conquered. They were something new and dangerous. The boarding. Action was supposed to end the fight quickly. Instead, it had shown the Zephyrian Empire that they had awakened something they did not understand. Humans were not just another primitive species to be conquered. They were warriors who fought for reasons the aliens could not comprehend. And that made them the most dangerous enemies the Zephyrian Empire had ever faced. War Commander Thexval stared at the reports coming from his boarding party. 23 of his best warriors were dead or wounded. The humans on the research ship were still fighting. This had never happened before in the history of the Zephyrian Empire. Send reinforcements to the boarding party, Thexval ordered. Sir, his second-in-command replied. We are receiving emergency signals from across the sector. 3 more human ships are approaching. They will arrive in 6 hours. Thexval felt his forearms tense with anger. Only 3 ships? We have 18. Call in the reserve fleet. I want 6 more warships here immediately. Already done, sir. They will arrive in 4 hours. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Martinez was using the time to prepare his ship for the next attack. The aliens in the cargo bay had stopped trying to break out. They seemed to be waiting for help. Ryan, any word from the approaching human ships? Jake asked. Ryan Clark looked up from his communication station. His red hair was messy, and he had a bandage on his left arm, but his fingers still moved quickly over the controls. Yes, sir. It's Admiral Karen Foster leading the task force. She has the destroyer Phoenix, the cruiser Atlantic, and the supply ship Denver. Dr. Lisa Kim was working on something new at her science station. She had been studying the dead aliens from the boarding party. Jake, I've learned a lot about these creatures. They're stronger than humans, but they're not used to pain. When they get hurt, they stop fighting. We don't. What else did you find out? Jake asked. They come from a planet with low gravity. That's why they're so tall and thin. But it also means they're not used to heavy impacts. Our kinetic weapons hit them harder than they expect. Sergeant Nina Garcia joined them on the bridge. The small soldier had bandages on her shoulder and forehead, but she was still ready to fight. Captain, I've been thinking about their tactics. They fight like they expect everyone to surrender quickly. They don't know how to handle a long battle. Commander Alex Stone nodded. That makes sense. Most of their battles probably end in the first few minutes. They're not prepared for enemies who keep fighting. 6 hours later, the human task force arrived. Admiral Karen Foster was a tough woman in her 50s who had commanded ships for 20 years. She had fought pirates, rebels, and natural disasters. But she had never fought aliens. Captain Martinez, this is Admiral Foster. What's your status? Admiral, we have alien boarders trapped in our cargo bay. Our ship is damaged but still fighting. The alien fleet has 24 warships now. Admiral Foster looked at the tactical display on her own ship. 24 alien warships against 3 human ships. The smart move would be to retreat and call for more help. But Admiral Foster had not become an admiral by being smart. She had become an admiral by being stubborn. All ships, this is Admiral Foster. We're going to get our people back. Phoenix and Atlantic attack formation. Denver, stay back and provide support. The human ships moved toward the alien fleet. War Commander Thexval watched them approach with amusement. 3 small ships against our entire fleet, he said to his officers. These humans are even more foolish than I thought. But General Tony Rodriguez, the Marine commander aboard the Phoenix, had a different plan. He had been listening to the reports from the Endeavor. These aliens were used to quick victories. They had never fought an enemy that used different tactics. Admiral, request permission to try something unusual, Tony said over the communication system. What do you have in mind, General? These aliens expect us to fight ship-to-ship battles like they do. What if we don't? The first surprise came when the human ships didn't line up for a traditional battle. Instead, they spread out and attacked from 3 different directions at once. The alien fleet had to split their fire between multiple targets. The second surprise came when the Phoenix launched all of its missiles at once, not at the alien ships, but at the empty space between them. The explosions created a cloud of metal debris and electromagnetic interference that confused the alien sensors. The third surprise came when the Atlantic flew straight toward the largest alien warship and didn't slow down. "What are they doing?" Thexval demanded. The Atlantic crashed into the alien flagship at full speed. The human ship was destroyed instantly, but the impact damaged the alien vessel so badly that it had to retreat from the battle. Admiral Foster watched her ship die and felt proud instead of sad. "That's how humans fight," she said quietly. "We don't just use our ships, we become our ships." General Rodriguez was already launching his next attack. Instead of trying to board alien ships normally, he shot his Marines through space in individual pods. The aliens were watching for large groups of boarders, not single fighters coming from all directions. Corporal Ben Wright, who had volunteered for this dangerous mission, landed on an alien destroyer and immediately started setting off explosives. Before the aliens could stop him, he had damaged their engine room so badly that the ship couldn't fight anymore. The aliens had never seen anything like this. In their culture, individual soldiers didn't sacrifice themselves for the group. But human Marines were doing exactly that, again and again. War Commander Thexval found himself losing ships to an enemy that should have been defeated hours ago. Every time he thought he understood how humans fought, they did something new and unexpected, sir, his communications officer reported. "We're receiving messages from Supreme War Master Veltar. He wants a full report on this battle." Veltar was the highest military commander in the Zephyrian Empire. He had conquered more star systems than any other general in their history. When his image appeared on the main screen, Thexval felt nervous for the first time in years. "War Commander, explain to me how you have lost 6 ships to 3 human vessels." "Sir, these humans fight differently than any species we have encountered. They use their ships as weapons. They sacrifice themselves for their comrades. They refuse to surrender even when facing certain death." Veltar's black eyes narrowed. "Are you telling me that these primitives are better warriors than the Zephyrian Empire?" "No, sir. I'm telling you that they are warriors in a way we have never seen before. They don't fight for conquest or glory. They fight for each other. And that makes them willing to do things we would never consider." The battle continued for 8 more hours. By the end, the human task force was almost destroyed. The Endeavor was barely holding together. The Phoenix was a floating wreck. Only the Denver remained mostly undamaged. But the alien fleet had lost 9 ships and had taken heavy damage to most of the rest. More importantly, they had lost something else. For the first time in their history, the Zephyrian Empire had met an enemy they couldn't easily defeat. Admiral Foster made one final communication to War Commander Thexval. "This is just the beginning. You attacked one research ship and had to fight a fleet to take it. What do you think will happen when Earth sends a real battle fleet?" Supreme War Master Veltar, who had been monitoring the battle, made a decision that shocked his subordinates. "All ships withdraw to safe distance. Do not pursue the human vessels." "Sir?" Thexval asked. "We can still destroy them." "At what cost, War Commander? We have learned something important today. These humans are not like the other species we have conquered. They are something new, something dangerous. We need to study them before we make our next move." As the alien fleet pulled back, Dr. Lisa Kim was making her own discoveries. She had been analyzing the battle data and had reached a troubling conclusion. "Jake," she said quietly, "I don't think this was their main fleet. The way they fought, the weapons they used. I think this was just a scouting force." Captain Martinez felt a chill run down his spine. If this was just a scouting force, how big was their real military? But across the galaxy, other species were beginning to take notice of this new race called humans. The news of the battle spread quickly. A young species had fought the mighty Zephyrian Empire to a standstill. Some species were curious, others were afraid, but all of them wanted to know more about these strange warriors who refused to surrender and treated their ships like weapons. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been shaped by thousands of years of warfare. They had survived ice, ages, plagues, and nuclear wars. They had learned that sometimes the only way to survive was to fight harder than anyone thought possible. And now that knowledge was about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. 3 weeks after the battle, news of the human-Zephyrian conflict had spread across the galaxy. On the planet Zerion Prime, home to the Galactic Alliance, emergency meetings were taking place in the Great Council chambers. High Counselor Jaxleth was an ancient being whose species had lived for over 1 million years. His people had seen the rise and fall of hundreds of civilizations. He had never been worried about a single new species before, but these humans were different. "Show me the battle recordings again," Jaxleth said to his aide. The holographic display showed the human ship Atlantic ramming into the Zephyrian flagship. Jaxleth watched as the human vessel destroyed itself to damage the enemy. He had seen this recording 50 times, but it still confused him. "I do not understand their thinking," Jaxleth said. "Why would they destroy their own ship? The crew knew they would die." His aide was a younger member of his species named Kextar. "The humans call it sacrifice, Counselor. They believe that dying for their group is honorable. But that makes no sense. Dead warriors cannot fight more battles." Meanwhile, on a prison ship orbiting a distant moon, Dr. Sam Johnson was having a very different conversation. Sam was a military psychologist who had been captured when his transport ship was attacked by Zephyrian raiders. Now he found himself explaining human nature to his alien captors. War historian Zekmor was the oldest Zephyrian alive. He had studied war for over 300 years and thought he understood every type of fighting in the galaxy. But the humans puzzled him. "Tell me about your species' history," Zekmor demanded. "How did you become such effective warriors?" Sam looked at the tall gray alien through the bars of his cell. "We didn't choose to become warriors. War chose us." "Explain." Sam thought about how to make an alien understand human history. "On Earth, our home planet, we faced constant threats. Ice ages that froze most of the world, diseases that killed millions, natural disasters that destroyed entire cities. And we fought each other constantly." Zekmor's black eyes showed interest. "You fought your own kind?" "For thousands of years, tribe against tribe, nation against nation. We created weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We actually used some of them." "Then why did your species not go extinct?" "Because we learned to survive anything. Every disaster made us stronger. Every war taught us new ways to fight. By the time we reached space, we had been tested by everything our planet could throw at us." Zekmor was taking notes on a strange, alien device. "But why do you fight so hard for individuals? In the battle recordings, your people died to save single crew members." Sam smiled sadly. "Because that's what makes us human. We're not just individuals. We're part of something bigger. When you attack one of us, you attack all of us." On Earth, the news of first contact with hostile aliens had changed everything. Ambassador Claire Davis was meeting with world leaders to discuss humanity's response. Claire was a smart woman who had spent her career trying to prevent wars. Now, she was trying to prepare for the biggest war in human history. "The aliens have technology we don't understand," she told the assembled leaders. "Their ships are bigger and more powerful than ours. But the battle reports show they have weaknesses too." President Chen of the Asian Federation leaned forward. "What kind of weaknesses?" "They expect quick victories. They're not prepared for long fights. And they don't understand why we fight the way we do." General Murphy, head of Earth's combined military forces, had been studying the battle data. "Their tactics are focused on overwhelming force. They've probably never fought an enemy that could adapt quickly to new situations." "What do you recommend?" asked President Williams of the American Union. "We prepare for total war," Murphy said grimly. "These aliens have conquered 17 star systems. They're not going to stop with us, but we have advantages they don't expect." "Such as?" "We're used to fighting enemies with similar technology. Every war in human history has been between opponents who could hurt each other. These aliens have always had superior weapons. They don't know how to fight equals." Back on the Zephyrian homeworld, Supreme War Master Veltar was having his own problems. The defeat at the human research ship had shocked the Empire's leadership. For the first time in centuries, they faced an enemy that could fight back effectively. Humans have sent a diplomatic message, his aide reported. What do they want? They're offering to exchange prisoners and discuss peace terms. Veltar considered this. In Zephyrian culture, only the defeated offered peace. What does our intelligence say about their military strength? Unknown, sir. We have identified over 200 human worlds, but we don't know how many ships they have or what weapons they possess. This worried Veltar more than he wanted to admit. The Zephyrian Empire had always gathered complete intelligence before attacking new enemies. But the humans had appeared so suddenly that there had been no time for proper scouting. Ambassador Claire Davis arrived at the meeting point in neutral space aboard the diplomatic ship Harmony. She was nervous but determined. This meeting could prevent a war that would destroy millions of lives. The Zephyrian representative was Sub-Commander Yexenil, a female officer with experience in dealing with conquered species. She expected this meeting to be simple. The humans would beg for mercy, and the Empire would decide whether to accept their surrender. I am Ambassador Davis, representing the United Earth Government and all human colonies. I am Sub-Commander Yexenil. You may speak. Claire took a deep breath. We want peace between our peoples. The recent conflict was unfortunate, but it doesn't have to lead to war. Yexenil was confused. You speak as if you have a choice. Your species will serve the Empire or be destroyed. These are the only options. I'm afraid you misunderstand our position, Claire said calmly. We're not surrendering. We're offering you a chance to avoid a war that will cost both our species dearly. Impossible. Your fleet is tiny compared to the Empire's might. Claire smiled sadly. Sub-Commander, may I ask how many wars your people have fought against enemies? With equal technology? Equal technology. No species in the galaxy has technology equal to ours. That's exactly the problem. You've spent centuries fighting enemies who couldn't really hurt you. We've spent centuries fighting enemies who could destroy us completely. Do you understand the difference? Yexenil did not understand, but something in the human's voice made her uncomfortable. Claire continued. When humans fight, we assume we might lose, so we prepare for the worst possible outcome. We plan for our cities to be destroyed, our fleets to be defeated, our planets to be invaded, and we prepare to keep fighting anyway. That is impossible. How can you fight without ships or cities? The same way we've always fought, with whatever we have left. Sub-Commander, has your species ever fought a war that lasted more than a few months? The longest war in our history lasted 6 months. Most end within days. Our longest war lasted 6 years. Our deadliest war killed 50 million people, and we kept fighting until one side was completely defeated. We're not just warriors, Sub-Commander. We're survivors. The meeting continued for hours, but no agreement was reached. Both sides returned to their fleets with the knowledge that war was now inevitable. Dr. Johnson, still in his prison cell, had one final conversation with war historian Zekmore. Your diplomat failed, Zekmore said. War is coming. I know, Sam replied. And I'm sorry for what's about to happen to your people. Sorry? We have the largest fleet in the galaxy. Sam looked at the alien with genuine sadness. You still don't understand. You think this is about ships and weapons. It's not. It's about will. And humans have been learning to survive impossible situations for thousands of years. What does that mean? It means you're about to fight an enemy that sees this war the same way we saw ice ages and plagues and nuclear weapons, as just another challenge to overcome. And we've overcome everything else our universe has thrown at us. Zekmore felt something he had never experienced before. Not fear exactly, but uncertainty. For the first time in his long life, he wasn't sure his people would win a war. News of the failed peace talks spread quickly. Across human space, fleets were gathering. Factories were converting to war production. Colonies were preparing for invasion. But the most important preparation was mental. Humans were doing what they had always done when facing a superior enemy. They were getting angry. The galaxy was about to learn that there was nothing more dangerous than humans who felt their families were threatened. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 star systems by being the strongest species in their region, but they were about to discover that strength alone was not enough against an enemy that simply refused to quit. 6 months after the first battle, Fleet Admiral Chris Thompson stood on the bridge of the human dreadnought Enterprise, watching the largest fleet in human history prepare for war. 200 ships filled the space around him. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and support vessels stretched as far as his sensors could reach. Chris was a tall man with gray hair who had commanded fleets for 30 years. He had fought pirates and rebels, but never aliens. Today, he would lead humanity's first major space battle against a hostile alien empire. "Admiral, we're receiving the final reports from our scout ships," said Captain Lucy Park, his operations officer. Lucy was a small woman with quick eyes who specialized in gathering intelligence behind enemy lines. "What do they tell us about the alien fleet?" 400 ships, sir. They're waiting for us at the edge of the Kepler system. Biggest fleet the Zephyrian Empire has ever assembled." Chris nodded grimly. The aliens outnumbered them 2-1, and their individual ships were more powerful. By every rule of space warfare, the humans should retreat and wait for reinforcements. But Chris had read the reports from Dr. Johnson and the other human prisoners who had been exchanged. He knew something the aliens didn't. The Zephyrian Empire had never fought a species that understood total war. "Send a message to all ships," Chris ordered. "Today we're not just fighting for victory, we're fighting for the right of humanity to exist as a free species. Make every shot count." At the edge of the Kepler system, Supreme War Master Veltar waited with the largest Zephyrian fleet ever assembled. He was confident of victory. 400 ships against 200. Superior technology against primitive weapons. This battle would end human resistance forever. "Sir, the human fleet is approaching," his tactical officer reported. "Good. Signal all ships to prepare for battle. This will be quick." But War Commander Thexaval, who had fought humans before, felt less confident. He had studied every report from the first battle. The humans fought differently than any species he knew. "Sir, request permission to suggest a cautious approach," Thexaval said. "Cautious? We outnumber them 2-1. "Yes, sir, but these humans have proven they don't follow normal military logic. They might have surprises we haven't considered." Veltar dismissed this concern. "They are primitives with inferior technology. Numbers and firepower will decide this battle." The human fleet approached in a formation the aliens had never seen before. Instead of a traditional line of battle, the human ships were arranged in small groups that moved independently. Each group had different types of ships working together. "What are they doing?" Veltar demanded. "Unknown, sir. This formation makes no sense according to standard fleet tactics." Admiral Thompson was using lessons learned from centuries of human naval warfare. Instead of fighting one big battle, he was creating dozens of smaller battles happening at the same time. This would force the aliens to split their attention and make quick decisions. "All squadrons execute Plan Omega," Chris ordered. The human fleet suddenly scattered in all directions. Some ships attacked the alien flanks, others dove under the main enemy formation. A few squadrons flew straight at the alien center, apparently planning to ram the largest ships. The Zephyrian fleet, trained for organized battle between large formations, didn't know how to respond to this chaos. Their commanders tried to maintain formation while human ships attacked from every direction at once. Captain Lucy Park led Squadron 7 in a daring attack on the alien flagship. Her 5 destroyers were fast and heavily armed, but much smaller than the massive Zephyrian dreadnought they were attacking. "Lucy to Enterprise," she radioed. "Beginning attack run on target Alpha." "Copy that, Lucy. Good hunting." Lucy's ships attacked the alien flagship from 5 different angles. The big ship could only shoot at one target at a time, while all 5 human ships could shoot at it. Within minutes, the alien dreadnought was taking heavy damage. But the real surprise came when the human ships that seemed to be planning ramming attacks suddenly changed course at the last second. Instead of crashing into alien ships, they released clouds of small objects that looked like debris. "What did they just launch?" Veltar asked. "Scanning now, sir. They appear to be some kind of small explosive devices." The objects were mines, but not normal space mines. These were smart weapons that could change course and hunt for targets. Within seconds, dozens of alien ships found themselves under attack by weapons they couldn't see until it was too late. War Commander Thexval watched his sensors in amazement. They turned debris into weapons. How do they think of these things? Bertui. Battle became a series of running fights between small groups of ships. The humans excelled at this type of combat because they had been fighting this way for centuries on Earth's oceans. Every human captain knew how to coordinate with other ships while making independent decisions. The aliens, used to receiving orders from Central Command, struggled to adapt when their communication systems became overloaded with reports from dozens of separate battles. High Counselor Jaxleth was watching the battle from his observation ship at a safe distance. The ancient alien had seen many wars, but nothing like this. "They fight like a swarm of insects," he said to his aide. "Each part moves independently, but they work together toward the same goal." "Should we intervene, Counselor?" "No. We need to see how this ends." The turning point came when Admiral Thompson executed his final surprise. Hidden among the human fleet were 20 ships that looked like supply vessels. The aliens had ignored them, focusing on the obvious warships. But these weren't supply ships. They were missile platforms carrying the most powerful weapons humanity had ever built. When they fired all at once, 200 nuclear missiles streaked toward the alien fleet. The Zephyrians had shields that could stop energy weapons, but they had never encountered nuclear explosives. The missiles punched through their defenses and detonated inside their formations. In 30 seconds, 50 alien ships were destroyed or disabled. The surviving ships found themselves scattered and confused, with no clear chain of command. Supreme War Master Veltar realized that his fleet was losing. For the first time in Zephyrian history, their superior technology was not enough to guarantee victory. "All ships, retreat to safe distance," he ordered. But the humans weren't finished. Instead of letting the aliens withdraw, Admiral Thompson ordered a pursuit. Human ships chased the retreating aliens, picking off damaged vessels and preventing them from regrouping. War Commander Thexval, his own ship badly damaged, managed to escape with only half his original fleet. As he fled, he sent a final message to Supreme War Master Veltar. "Sir, we have learned something terrible today. These humans don't just fight to win battles. They fight to eliminate threats completely. They will pursue us until we are no longer capable of threatening them." Back on the human flagship, Admiral Thompson was receiving damage reports. His fleet had lost 40 ships, but they had destroyed or disabled over 200 alien vessels. More importantly, they had broken the myth of Zephyrian invincibility. "Admiral," Captain Park reported, "we're receiving communications from across the galaxy. Other alien species want to establish diplomatic contact with humanity." Chris wasn't surprised. News of this battle would spread quickly. The galaxy had seen a young species defeat the most powerful military force in known space. High Counselor Jaxleth was already composing his report to the Galactic Alliance. "The humans are not just another warrior species," he dictated. "They are survivors who have learned to turn every disadvantage into a weapon. They fight with creativity, determination, and absolute refusal to accept defeat. What do you recommend, Counselor?" "That we treat them as equals and hope they remain friendly, because any species that can defeat the Zephyrian Empire while outnumbered, 2-1, is not a species we want as an enemy." On the Zephyrian homeworld, Supreme War Master Veltar was making his own report to the Empire's highest leaders. The defeat had shaken the foundation of their civilization. "The humans are not like other species we have conquered," he explained. "They have turned warfare into an art form. Every battle teaches them something new. Every defeat makes them stronger." "What do you recommend?" the Zephyrian Emperor asked. "Peace, Your Majesty, immediate peace. We have awakened something that we do not understand and cannot defeat through conventional means." Dr. Sam Johnson, finally released from prison, was reunited with his family on Earth. War historian Zek Moore had asked him one final question before his release. How did your species become so effective at war? Sam had thought carefully before answering. We didn't choose to become warriors. The universe forced us to become survivors. Ice ages, diseases, natural disasters, wars between our own people. Every challenge that should have destroyed us instead taught us how to overcome the next challenge. And now we survive in space the same way we survived on Earth. By refusing to give up, by learning from every fight, and by protecting each other no matter the cost. News of the human victory spread throughout the galaxy within days. Species that had never heard of Earth suddenly wanted to establish trade agreements and military alliances. The balance of power that had existed for thousands of years had changed in a single battle. The Zephyrian Empire,